you have the audio potted up so we can hear in here? Okay.
Huh. Oh yeah, I can hear it.
It might actually
One,
be too
two,
loud.
1, 2.
Yeah, you might want to
green knob.
green knob to the right, top right. Yeah, check. I forget which one. Green knob. Hey.
I don't think. I'm sorry, it's not the green knob. It's the top left send. The green headphone cord is plugged into it. Might be the yellow knob.
Yo.
Sorry.
It is the yellow knob. There it is. Yeah. Hey.
We do
Check.
need to mess with our headphones.
Yeah. We can do headphone if you
No, not right this second. I'm just saying in general.
Yeah.
We started messing with
want. Yeah. Good.
We're here.
Good morning. Now
It works. It's on.
It's delayed, but don't worry. Don't let that throw you off. Good
He's talking
morning.
about me. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Good News York.
Yes. Is this the official?
I don't know. We've done like 8 episodes now and asked, is this the official first one?
I know.
So
We've had 8 fake episodes. Or
It's
real.
like Mr. B says, your first 100 are going to suck. So I'm glad you invited me on.
yeah, we only have
time
92
frame.
more to go.
92 more.
yeah,
to go.
we said we're going to invite the really good guests in the following weeks.
Yeah.
But, you know.
No.
Hey, Abel, what are you doing? No. Welcome, everybody. I'm Matt Major from Growth Mode Content. This is Good News York. I'm joined by my awesome spiky-haired sidekick,
No, too much.
Mikey B.
Yeah, Mike Brindisi. How are you? Good morning. We have a very exciting guest here today.
Yes.
Good morning. My name is Abel Ramirez. I'm more than honored to be here today.
This is awesome
Yeah.
to have our buddy Abel here. This guy is, I think he's what are you, like 17 years old or something, and you're a billionaire? Is that?
That's about it. No, but I'm 15.
Oh,
17.
That's
yeah.
fair. That's fair. You get carded for literally everything, don't you? You can't even buy a lotto ticket, can you?
No, I can't. Yeah,
This
I have to
guy's-
show my ID every time I go to the store and make
These-
sure that. Where's your dad?
These Cuban guys, man.
I
He's going to
do.
be 60 and still look like this.
I am
That's-
not. My wife is staying far away from him. I'll tell you that. I am keeping her away from Abel.
Yeah, it's funny. I try to grow a beard, but I can't even grow a full beard because if I shave, I don't know, Mike. But you look good too, man.
Well, thank you, but not around you. You walked in and I went, well, I'm ugly for the next
Pretty
couple
boy
hours.
problems over here, man. Something I
Rico
never
Suave
experienced.
here. Say hello to my little friend.
Oh,
Speaking
look
of
at
pretty boys, behind the board, we got our man Danny.
yeah, Danny, our,
Rock and roll. He's
Go,
He's
Danny.
dug in deep.
look at him.
There
Look
he
at
is.
our
Hey,
guy.
how's
Look
it
at him.
going?
I love him
He's got
so
the
much.
Metroid shirt on.
I do. Good
Oh
call.
man,
Don't you just want to snuggle with him? Look at him. He's just the best. Danny
really
Downer.
is.
No, I mean, he's not Danny Downer. When I say Debbie Danny. He's always got good news.
I think he should be the thumbnail for every single video you guys post.
that's a
All right.
great idea.
We'll take that into
actually.
consideration.
different expressions from Danny.
That's
Yeah.
it. That's
All
it.
right. Well, here we are. We're doing it.
So let's jump right in, man, and let's talk a little bit about our buddy Abel. So Abel, I know the story, but so many people don't. So give us just a quick background, where you came from, what you're doing right now.
Yeah, quick rundown. As I say, my name is Abel Ramirez Gonzalez, not like Speedy Gonzalez, but something along those lines.
He is pretty speedy.
I am from Cuba. As you know, Cuba is a communist country. You go there, it's like 60 years in the past. You still see the old Chevys and the 57 Dodge. They're still running around like it's today.
Don't worry. We're heading that way, too. We'll meet you there.
I
a different
think you're
story.
right. I think you're right,
It's a
Mike.
different story.
My dad was a minister, and we lived at the church.
Oh, wow.
Very humble beginnings for us. And as you know, Cubans don't like, or not Cubans, but the communist regime does not like any type of gathering that might threaten their power in government. And Christians are known for very vocal about freedom and things like that. So he was persecuted and even imprisoned a couple times. And he applied for a political refugee back in the day when there was an U.S. embassy within the Switzerland embassy in Cuba.
Wow.
So it wasn't an official U.S. embassy, but they had like
They had a little office in the building.
a little office in
Yeah.
the building, right, where you can go and ask for asylum, that sort of thing, and he did, and it took a long time, a lot of money, and a lot of processes, paperwork, interviews, but he finally got accepted. We moved here in 2010. I'll never forget it. It was October 19. The plane's coming down. I see all the colors on the trees. It looked like a movie because think about it. Cuba is 24/7 hot weather.
Yeah.
This stuff that we've been seeing around here for the last week or so, you don't get to see it in Cuba. I mean, it's dead all year long, and rain and storm and hurricane season. That's it. And super hot and humid. So for me, it was like, oh my God, it's like the movies. I'm landing in Syracuse.
Yeah.
But yeah, from there, I went to Henniger High School, Black Knight, proud Black Knight. And then, I mean, one thing led to another. Think about it. You come to America, you don't speak the language, you don't have any relatives. The only thing you're bringing with you is the desire to work, the desire to get ahead. Eventually, I brought my mom and my sister, so now all my immediate family is here. And again, just a lot of will to get ahead and never forgetting where I'm from. I'll tell you a quick story. The first week in America, we did not know how to use the hot shower because we never had one.
Oh, my
Oh, wow.
gosh.
So we did it the old way. We took a bucket and we heated it on the stove, and we did it the old way because that's the only way we knew.
Wow.
We couldn't figure out how to work the knob on the hot shower. It wasn't after a week later that a social worker came in, and she goes, how's everything? Do you guys get a good hot shower and everything? I'm like, actually, it's not working. She goes, seriously? Let me go. And sure enough, she had to pull it out and then turn it, and
Yeah.
there was water. I was like, oh my gosh, we have water. Yeah, it's something that we were not used to, and some of the things that we take for granted here. Something as simple as taking a hot shower and opening the refrigerator and having food there. I mean, yeah.
So what's really striking to me is, and
All
he's
of
going to
it.
get to this part. Oh, we haven't even got to the good stuff yet. So through all that struggle, coming in here, figuring this out from scratch, really, as sort of a teenager, has got to be a tremendous experience. But you met that challenge and then some, right? Like tell folks a little bit about your career as you have gotten a little bit older, which isn't that long ago. It's incredibly
not
young.
that long
I was
ago.
going to say older. What?
I was like Bitcoin, it was very cheap, and then to the moon.
That's
That's
it.
right.
No, it's been really a journey with ups and downs along the way. But again, I think the mindset is so important. You got to have a survival of the fittest type of mindset. For us, is burn the ships, right? There is no going back. So now that you're here, you better learn the language, you better learn the culture, and adjust and embrace and get ahead. Because half the battle is just winning it up here. Getting it out there. Forget about I'm not good enough, I don't have the resources, I can't speak the language, I'm too young, I'm too old. All the excuses that we always tell to ourselves. If you win that battle, that's halfway there. The other half you will figure out as you go. So as Matt was saying, after school, I did what any teenager in their right mind will do, and that is get married out of high school.
Yeah.
Yeah, I met my wife at church. She's also Cuban. But here's the funny thing. 2 Cubans meet in Syracuse at a Puerto Rican church.
That sounds like the beginning to a joke.
Right?
I mean, that's fantastic.
But that's how it all started. But I knew she was wifey material, and I wasn't going to pass on that opportunity. So I graduated in June, right? June 2014, class of 2014. And I got married in October.
That's amazing.
Wow.
From there, I was working as a sandwich guy at Columbus Bakery. That was my first job. And let me tell you, that was my first introduction to a small business. And I was part of the family. I learned how to manage a little store, sandwich store. And that was the first step into me speaking English. Because before in school, by year 2.5, I could understand almost 80% of everything, but I could stay quiet. I wasn't talking to anybody, right? I remember one quick story in school where my global teacher was like, because I learned how to say, I don't know. That's the first thing I learned how to say. I
You
don't
need
know.
to say that. That's an important phrase
I don't
around
know.
here in America. I don't know.
I don't
Yeah.
know. And I learned to say that so people will leave me alone. And one day in class, he asked a question and he goes, Abel, do you not know how to say anything other than I don't know? And I was like, I don't know. And the whole class would start laughing.
Right.
But yeah, I would not speak English because I kept it to myself. I would get tongue twisted and it was very embarrassing. So when I was working as a sandwich guy, I had to interact with customers,
Sure.
get their order and ask them. Another funny story. One time a customer walks in and I'm going, oh, you want onions and you want lettuce and blah, blah, blah. And she goes, yeah, purse. Guess what? Guess what I did? I
put peppers.
I put peppers on her sandwich. So she
That's
was
great.
pissed. Oh my god! I'm like, I'm sorry. I thought you said peppers. And I
Right.
said, yeah, peppers. Yeah, another
great.
fun story. But from there, I started a professional career in microelectronics. So I moved to
What a jump.
what a jump, right, from sandwich. I think that gave me the confidence boost that I needed. The
Sure.
fact that now I can communicate with customers. I think every kid out of high school should work at customer service.
Oh,
It should be a requirement.
Abel, I have said for years, I worked over 10 years as a bartender and server. And I said everybody should have to work in this industry just once because
Minimum.
the things that you learn just in interacting with people and the appreciation of why you tip and why it's important to tip and what people go through. You know, along the way, a lot of times we have these shitty jobs, right? And we're like, I'm stuck in life. What am I doing? Then you find out 10 years later when you're successful doing it, whatever it is you're doing, you look back on those shitty jobs and you're like, that's part of what made me who I am.
It's the foundation.
That sandwich
Mike.
job, that sandwich shop was probably so important in your rise, your success.
Oh, I'll always remember it, because it was the foundation. Think about it. When you're dealing with customers, especially when it comes to food, people are in a hurry. People are hungry. People maybe are having a bad day.
Yep.
So you get to deal with very difficult people on a daily basis. Once you master that and you go into the business world and you go into a professional world, you're like, oh, this is nothing.
Yeah.
And nowadays, in this day and age where everyone is texting and texting and texting, there is no interaction. And we've seen it, especially after COVID, when everyone was isolated.
Yeah.
You go to places and customer service is
Terrible.
Right? So everyone should have at least once on their life a job in customer service because that's going to set you up for success for the rest of your life.
You get it.
Well, from there, I went to Anarin, what's now TTM Technologies, and that was my introduction to the professional world, right? Now you draft emails with dear and comma and best regards, and you learn how to communicate on emails, which I hated too because it sounds so fake.
I
Like,
know.
just get to the point. What do you want? What do you need?
Right?
But that allowed me to see how an organization works at a larger scale, and they did have a lot of great benefits. I did go back to school, first for business and management. Then I was like, I'm hiring people at minimum wage with a business degree, so this might not be the right avenue. So I forgot about business and management, and I went to electrical engineering because a lot of the successful people that I worked with was electrical engineers. But then I realized after a couple semesters that all day and every day they're sitting in front of a computer trying to solve complicated problems.
Yeah.
I don't like that. So I quit. And I went to mechanical engineering because that was more hands-on. It was more fun.
Sure.
Did a few semesters of that. And by the time I was done with the almost third semester, I was like, I've learned enough. I've grown in the company. I'm making enough money. I'm going to get my real estate license. So I got my real estate license and started selling real estate right before the COVID shutdown. Think about timing the market.
God.
I got my license in March 14. And on the 19th or the 20th is when everything was shut down.
Yeah.
I'll never forget that.
Literally right
Oh.
before.
So I had a first great year. I mean, I killed it. I got a bunch of awards, Rising Star. I got nominated for a bunch of other, awards at the GSIR, the Realtors Association here. And I was like, okay, great, real estate. That seems to be a good path because now that I can speak Spanish, I can support my own community here
Absolutely.
and educate them. Because think about it, when you come from a different country, you don't know anything about credit. You don't know anything about a mortgage and insurance and all the stuff that goes into buying a house. So you have to educate them a lot.
Which is why your story is even more impressive to me because of the cultural barriers that you had to go through on top of what it takes to do all of that. So, I mean, my God, you are impressive. Yeah.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you,
No,
Mike.
I'm
It's
serious.
definitely been a journey, and each experience have had its ups and downs. But I just look at it as you either win or you learn. There is no failure. Actually, on my WhatsApp, slogan or whatever, the status every day.
Yeah,
is
yeah.
You only fail when you stop trying.
It's
The moment you
100%.
throw the towel, that's when you fail. If you keep going, I don't know if you saw the fight of Amanda Serrano the day that Jake Paul fought.
Oh,
I did. That was the best fight
that
of
was
the night.
best fight of the night.
That was incredible.
And I'm surprised that they didn't, stop the fight because of how bad her injury was.
I couldn't concentrate because all I was looking at was her eye.
Yeah.
And I was just waiting for it to explode on camera. I couldn't, it was awful, but man, that was a great fight.
And the way that she was fighting with all her will and strength, I mean, that's the mentality you got to have. You only lose if you stop trying. The moment you throw the towel, that's it.
Got it.
So that's been my mindset. Always going, always going. In real estate, I learned that you can buy a business. You don't have to start from scratch. You don't have to be Einstein and create this new unicorn business that, it's going to revolutionize the world. You can build up upon something that somebody else started. So the company that I have now was founded by a Brazilian immigrant in the 1980s, early 1980s. Wow. And then she retired. She sold it to an Italian, and then I bought it off the Italian when he was retiring. So now I'm a third generation owner of a successful business that's been in the community for almost 50 years. How cool is that?
That's awesome.
The story that an immigrant came here with nothing, had to learn the language, had to learn the culture, and start from scratch, and be able to call myself a business owner today. If that doesn't inspire you, I don't know what will, honestly. Because if I can, actually, my name, Abel, I changed the meaning. I hated my name. It's Abel, I'm the guy that his brother killed. Abel, where's Cain? I got all that. Abel, Abel Table, all those names. But Abel, if you switch the L and the E, it's Abel. You can do something. So I changed it to Able Man, because if I can do it, anybody can.
Dude, he's the story. You hear about these stories about immigrants coming to America and the land of opportunity. I mean, you are the poster child for that. And that is, with everything going on, it's this is so important to showcase this. That this is why immigration is so fantastic. And it's what this country was founded on. And I just met you recently, and I'm proud of you, man. It's incredible.
Man. Thanks. I think that this is the land of opportunities. I couldn't be proud. Nowhere on earth is there a place that allows you to flourish the way that America does. And I hope that we can, as Americans, we can keep that.
I agree.
So, buddy, we've joked a little bit, but let's tell folks in reality, how old are you for real?
I am 29 years old, and I'll be 29 forever. I refuse to turn 30. Yeah.
Jesus. What are you?
I shouldn't be allowed to be a business owner or a dad. My daughter tells me all the time, Dad, you shouldn't be allowed to be a dad.
How many children do you have?
I have 3 children.
God bless you. That's awesome.
Abel's business is Bayberry Uniform and Shoe. And to bring it back locally a little bit, right here in Liverpool, his store, when you walk into it, reminds you of a traditional clothing store. Like the amount of inventory he has and the variety of things. And obviously it's not necessarily a fashion store. It's uniform. It's professional workwear, things like that, right? You want to talk a little bit about, in addition to what you have, the different things you do there at the business? Yeah,
for sure. So we cater to the medical community for the most part. They are our main customer, but we also serve restaurants. We serve schools. We serve corporate offices. And the main thing that we sell is scrubs, uniforms, lab coats. So when you go to the airport and you see the doctors with their arms crossed wearing the white coats, those are our white coats. Oh, wow. And I mean, I couldn't be more proud of the work that we do to keeping those workers, dressed and looking professional. And I mean, one of the things that I'm the most proud of is we have weekly deliveries to upstate. So I get orders in on Wednesday, Thursdays, and by Friday, they're getting their uniforms. So any new hires, I have their uniforms ready for Monday when they start. And when I see those things and the way that we work with hospitals and local offices and keeping them dressed professionally and keeping them going, I'm like, wow, that's amazing. It feels good because it brings a purpose to what you do. I don't say, I sell uniforms. No, I dress my customers. So, it's important.
That's amazing. If I may, that seems, it's a very niche, category. How did you come up with the idea of, I'm going to open a clothing store and it's going to be for,
bought it.
Just bought it as is, turnkey.
Yeah. Turnkey.
It's amazing.
Everything. Like I said, it all worked out. Working as a real estate agent, that I learned that you can buy businesses too. And you can go on Biz Buy Sell or loopnet.com and you can see what's for sale currently in Syracuse. And I was shopping for anything, mind you. I did not care of what business I was going to get into. Landscape, painting.
You would have figured it out.
I would figure it out. and that one seemed like it makes sense because it was after COVID. It was essential, right?
Sure.
Now you're dressing the nurses, so that's always going to be a need for that. So yeah, I mean, my wife and I, we both decided to go all in. I sold that rental property that I had, empty our 401ks, and we said, you know, this is it. This is our chance to make the American dream happen, bringing it back to a small family-owned business.
What a cool perspective, because you hear about like, I specialize in this, I'm going to open a business about this. I love the perspective of, hey, I just want to own a business and have an opportunity, and finding your way based on what's available. That's kind of a cool thing.
That's the difference between what they call an entrepreneur. A lot of people use that word, but it's a thing that is really different. And what I can tell you is, I guarantee without a shadow of a doubt, this man will have 4 or 5 other businesses, if not more than that, by the time he reaches our age.
Yeah.
And that's just because no
suggest
matter what, no matter
OnlyFans.
how successful this is, he's going to continue to have that bug and have more ideas. And I know this because this is where I'm at, right? That's why I'm an IT guy, and we now have a content company, right?
You're a great example of entrepreneurship.
That's when people talk about that entrepreneur mindset, it's not just, I want to own a business.
Right.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
Keep in mind. And there's lots of folks that do that. They have a dream. I have a skill. I'm a phenomenal woodworker. I'm going to open a woodworking business and do that for the rest of my life. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. But that person is not necessarily an entrepreneur. You know what I mean? And that's the thing that I think is unique and something that people should wrap their mind around.
And definitely I learned a lot with you, Matt, and with Profound, because I'll be honest with you, the first thing I did when I closed on the business, I ordered a business card and I put myself President CEO.
Yeah,
There you go.
There you go.
And there was a little bit of ego there because coming from the corporate world, it's all about what do you call it? Going up in the ladder.
Sure.
Climbing
and,
the ladder, yeah.
and your title, and you have all this long. It's a sentence long of your title.
Yeah.
And it's all about, oh, I'm this and this and that.
Sure.
And I'll be honest, I had a little bit of that coming from the corporate world, and I had to change that mindset.
Sure.
And Profound was a big realization for me because, yeah, you're the CEO, but you have to mop the floor if it's your business now.
Yeah.
You're the CEO, but you're gonna have to, organize or take in merchandise. Now you're doing it all. It's your business. So it definitely brought me down to a level where, like, yeah, buddy, you're going too fast. Let's bring it down a notch. You're not actually. I changed the business cards after that. I don't call myself a president or CEO anymore because what's a title mean?
Right.
Is it feeding something inside of you, or what's the reality? Who are you? Who are you, Mike? Who are you, Matt? What do you call yourself?
Right.
So that was a big realization. Like, hey, now that I'm a business owner, that means that I'm responsible for this place. I'm responsible for the payroll, for keeping the lights on. It's a whole different ball game.
That's great
than when you're working
self-awareness.
from a different for a company as an employee.
Yeah.
That's true.
Great self-awareness.
Employees get to go home at the end of the day.
You clock out and you forget about it.
You own
That's
the
what
place.
I-
There is no end of the
Yeah,
day.
That's
and
what
I don't
I
know how
do
you do
here.
it, Matt, because everything that you have going on, and you're probably your head spinning at 1,000 revolutions per minute. Do you even sleep?
No.
No, he's like a bat. He
Yeah.
just hangs upside
You
down.
sleep when you're dead, right?
Yeah, sure.
That's how it goes.
That's the thing that people don't understand out there. They see, president, CEO, business owner. They don't see all the behind the scenes.
Right.
They can't appreciate something they haven't experienced. Just like
Sure.
I couldn't appreciate the hot shower because I never had it.
It's amazing.
It's
This guy's
This
great.
guy- this is incredible.
Dude, I'm ready to
So-
just get up and start my own business after
we
this.
our time with Abel is running short. But
Why?
You're going to be because we have another guest.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
But this is the deep tease. This gentleman will obviously be a regular fixture here
Yeah.
on
Thank
Good
you.
News York. We're going to have him in quite often because he's got a never-ending list of stories and wisdom. And one of the things that I want to get into next time you visit with us is I want to get some of your social media advice.
okay.
So here at Growth Mode Content, obviously, this is our whole purpose. We're helping businesses create content.
Mhm.
And you are a gentleman who has 250,000 followers on
Whoa.
Instagram alone.
My
And
guy.
he's got an incredible community. And next time, like I said, when you come back, I want to learn a little bit more about how you grow and nurture that community.
I'll give you a quick tease.
Please.
It's all about positivity and comedy.
Hey,
That's it.
I'm all
Good
about
news,
that.
York.
we're doing it.
We're doing
doing
it,
it.
Harry.
The news and the people are so tired of hearing the negative stories. You know, when you told me about this idea, I'm like, it's going to blow up. It's going to go crazy because people want to hear something that inspires them, something different about all the negativity that's happening out there.
And there really is a
you're
need
on the right
for
track.
there. Thank you. And there is a need for it. I mean,
Absolutely.
it's not cliche. I mean,
No.
if you just open your phone for 30 seconds, you're like, oh my gosh.
It's depressing.
The other thing is what we've discovered more and more, and we sort of knew this, but as we're digging deep in, what a challenge this is.
Yeah.
To do nothing but positivity, right?
Right.
So back in the day, I used to do a regular show, and we did, it was comedy, and it was current events, news, and we would have 5 pages of prep, of news stories, of things we could pull up and talk about that were controversial, and we could shit on them, and have a good time and joke around. Endless supply of that sort of stuff. When we're doing this sort of thing, we're going, hey, where are these positive, these uplifting stories? It's like,
I'll think of bits
good luck.
all day, every day. My head's going, and I'll throw I'll write down some of these bit ideas I have, and 90% of them, I'm like, oh, it's kind of negative. It really
Well,
is.
that's
a
the
challenge.
thing.
You know
It's
what I
like
mean?
it's
What can we tell the viewers, if there are any? What can we tell the viewers? A website? What? Give us the business name. Let's
the
plug
plugs.
it. Let's plug it.
So BayberryUniforms.com, SyracuseScrubs.shop. So as you can see here, this is the main website. I use it mainly for customer portals, not for the average consumer. If you're an average consumer looking for scrubs, I would go to SyracuseScrubs.shop. That is another website that we're implementing. I want to do almost like an Uber Eats where you order it and we deliver it to your home. This is just for Syracuse. I'm very community centered, and I'm focusing in our community, which is why that idea came about. And we're located at 7608 Oswego Road, right next to Kinney's in the Bayberry Plaza. We have another location near Krause, 742 South Krause, Syracuse, New York. And my goal here is to, move towards e-commerce more because it's convenience, and do in-person events. So reach out to us if you're thinking about hosting a sales event. We'll go to you. We've been to San Joe's. We've been to Krause. We've been to as far as Utica at nursing homes. We're going to be at Loretto next month. So in this busy world where you just want to go home after a long shift, hey, we'll come to you. We'll set up a mini store for you, and you can shop right there and then.
It is so smart.
It's the type of innovative stuff that.
No, but that goes right back to what you said about Entrepreneur, because I was thinking not long ago. I'm like, if I was opening a business, I wouldn't be thinking about I want to open something where everyone's going to go to, because it seems like since COVID, everyone's kind of retreating back, and I don't want to exacerbate that trend. I want people to go out more, but I think bringing things to people at their home is key, man.
Making things more convenient.
Yeah, Mike, I think it's going to go back because life is about cycles.
Yeah.
I think right now we're in probably halfway that cycle where people are isolated and convenience and shopping groceries delivered to your home, all that. Yeah. Eventually, you're going to want to have a real interaction with a person. We just got to make sure we're still there when that happens.
I'm never going to stop getting grocery delivery. I'm not going to lie.
But I just don't want the barbed wire tattoo to come back.
Going back. Let's not go that far back.
Let's not go that cycle.
But yeah, no, I and you see that some of that. We've been talking with a lot of folks recently and about hotels and things, and a lot of these hotels kind of tried to sell out because nobody was going to hotels, right? And now they're sort of putting the brakes on that. And like, wait a minute, we need these actual hotel rooms again in town, not just retirement homes. So it's good to see. And like you said, things are cyclical, and that's the one thing everybody needs to keep in mind. I
feel like at some point we're going to look back on this decade or this time period, and we're going to go, man, we lived in such a pivotal time where exciting and things are changing. I mean, right now it's very scary, right? With AI and COVID just happened. But I guess the positive in this is if you zoom out, like, this is an exciting time. This is an exciting time to grow.
Mike, I'll leave you with this. I wish the me from the future will come and tell me when I'm living the good old days. Because right now you might be living the best time of your life and you're not even realize it. Like you said, we're living in a historical pivotal moment of our lifetime. Yeah. And we don't, sometimes you take it for granted. It's like, it's just another day. I
always say, imagine you're on your deathbed. I know it's very morbid. Let's say you're in your 80s and 90s, you're on your deathbed and someone says, if you had one wish, what would it be? And you're like, I wish I could go back to the good old days. That's now for most of us.
That's now for most of us.
So just keep that in mind.
We need more sad trombone.
There it is.
Oh, man.
Love it.
Our buddy Abel from Bayberry Uniform.
Dude,
He
you're the
will be
best.
back on a
Thank you.
regular
Thank you,
basis. We
guys.
are so happy to see you
Yeah, man.
and happy to have you here on Good
Much
News
needed
York.
in the
So
community. Keep up.
We
Keep the
appreciate
good work.
it. We
thank
really
you,
do.
buddy. So in a minute, we're going to have our buddy Mike Lisi from Maltek. He's going to talk to us
I know, I'm
about
excited.
keeping
Cybersecurity.
things safe
Yeah.
and all kinds of fun, nerdy things.
Yeah,
So,
for sure.
We'll be back with him in just a minute.
And we're back. Oh, coming at you.
I love that SNL bit.
Which one?
That's the only Jimmy Fallon bit that I actually like when he does the radio.
Oh,
And we're back!
and we're back.
Goes crazy.
This setup reminds me of the sweaty balls. segment.
Oh, yeah.
Sweaty ball.
We should
Anyway.
do that. I
Hello,
saw
Mike.
Baldwin the other day.
Is it?
Syracuse.
Hold on. Sorry, I know we have a
'Cause
guest.
they
But I have
live
to ask this. Is it true that the Baldwins live in Baldwinsville?
No.
Okay, I knew that was a.
They live in
stupid
Camillus.
rumor. That would be cool, though. Anyway, hi, Mike.
Good morning.
What's going on, buddy?
Mike Lisi, everybody.
We got a new guest.
Yeah,
Joining the Good News York. What's the good news, Mike?
yeah.
Oh man, lots of good news. We just started our 2025 season for the NCAA Cyber Game, which is an initiative that I'm part of where we give cybersecurity students across the country an opportunity to get into their first like hands-on competition
Wow.
against other students. So we support schools nationwide. Last year we did, it was over 1,000 students across the season from 100 teams, and it was about 70 to 75 universities.
That's so great. Mike Lisi from Maltek Solutions. He's hacking your brain right now.
It's incredible, man. So let's give a little background. Again, Mike from Maltek Solutions. Mike is a cybersecurity expert, and this is something that we're very excited to talk about. And Mike's also going to be making a bunch of content with growth mode content, so you're going to be able to learn a ton.
Yeah.
But just to jump in and to hear some of the basics, I think it's very interesting because I'm a guy in IT, right? I've been in IT for 30 years, and most people assume that I do what Mike does.
Right.
And the reality is we don't do almost anything that really overlaps with some very basic things, right? And I think the best way to think of it is IT guys like myself or anybody really in this industry are kind of like your family doctor, the general practitioner. They're the ones you see most often. They know the guidelines. They know how to check for the different things. But when it comes time for something serious, you need that brain surgeon. That's where Mike comes in, and that's where specialists.
You're a urologist, let's be honest.
Shh. Nobody's supposed to know that.
You like
Fucking
penises.
guy.
What do you want?
So Mike is the guy who really is able to dig in deep and do a bunch of things, and he's on, I guess you would say, the front lines of the cyber world.
Yeah, we spoke.
And he also shares his skills with young people, which is something he's talking about right
Yeah, we spoke with you at the Winter Fair, and you blew my mind open. I'll try not to ask those same questions, but I mean, this guy is the guy, and I think cybersecurity nowadays is just as important as the police that you see out on the streets. I mean, we're in that world.
Yes. Yeah. And, we used to talk about that in the same reasons you need physical security. And by that, you mean like cameras in your building and access control. A lot of these days we're way beyond a key typically for a modern business. The same is true for the same reasons in the cyber world, right? You need more than just that padlock or that 1985 subscription to McAfee that you haven't renewed.
Oh, wait. I think I have.
There's more to cybersecurity than that. But we're doing a lot of talking for you, Mike. Tell us a little bit more about your business and where you come in for folks.
Yeah, no, I think you're definitely right in a lot of that. The cybersecurity world is definitely an area that's constantly evolving, and there is just an incredible need for this testing of those solutions that you have in place, not only on the cyber side, the digital side, but on the physical side as well. You can have all of these solutions and things that are meant to protect you and to defend against attackers, but are they actually working? So you get somebody like me or somebody else in the industry that's doing these things to test those out and actually show you like, hey, is this stuff working right? If I were targeted, what could actually happen? What are the impacts to the business have? And that's where we try and come in and help. There's really no difference from what I'm doing to what an actual criminal is doing, except that I have permission to do so. So
Fair.
If I were to do it, to anybody else and they didn't give me that paperwork, I could definitely go to jail. So it's the term hacking is one of those things that really has a negative connotation.
Sure.
But it really shouldn't, because it just goes through people trying to understand things and dive into things and just like present that information in a way to help everybody else understand it better. And when these flaws and things are exposed and they're brought to light, then we can actually take the right steps to start fixing those things, making sure that everybody's a little bit more effective.
I mean, you have to engage in that to find the holes, to find the vulnerabilities, right? I mean, how else could you?
Right. No, for sure. It's the same with like your physical alarm and everything. Like, is it working? The only way to know is like when you're actually attacked. Like, and if it doesn't work right, then you're going to be really upset that you invested all this time and effort and money to find out that it wasn't doing what you thought it was.
Yeah.
So, going that extra step and having somebody come in and perform that assessment and really tailor it to your particular concerns and needs helps to ensure, like, gives you that feeling that, when the time comes, you know that you're going to be in as best a spot as you possibly can be in order to, prevent or at least minimize that attack. Because, totally preventing everything is pretty much impossible. There's
Sure.
always going to be something, some extent that somebody's willing to go to in order to do that. But, to do as much as possible is the best possible scenario to follow and to abide by.
And that's how you're best protected if you are attacked or breached, right? In terms of when it comes to insurance and getting your insurance, very expensive insurance policy to actually pay when you need it, demonstrating that you've done everything you possibly could is critical. Because you can, like I said, like anything, even like a car insurance thing, it's like, oh, well, you lied to us or you didn't do what you were supposed to do and we don't have to pay this claim. Something like that could be massive, but doing the right things, even if it doesn't stop everything, is so critical. Mike, do they still use is white hat, black hat? Is that a dated term? Or we still use those?
No, those terms are still in use. We still also use those for the types of testing that we do.
I see.
I try to go, so there's things like a white box test, a gray box test, a black box test, and that really defines how much information you're given ahead of time. So in the case of like a black box test, you're essentially giving nothing. You're starting from scratch. You're going to have to dig in and find everything. I don't particularly like that approach for my customers, mainly because it requires the most amount of time on our end to dig up information that we could just be provided from the customer and kind of fast forward that, right? So I really try and focus on that white box, that more collaborative component where we share a lot of information and then we can just focus on, okay, let's put my skills to use, and find the things that are going to be important to you versus just like things that I can go and eventually gather information about your business, about your assets, about those types of things. Like, let's find out where the attacks might go.
Yeah.
You figure like a skilled trade or something like a woodworker. It's like, well, we don't need you to like go and find the lumber. Like, well, we have the lumber, right? So just go ahead and build it for me instead of like going to the store and doing all that. Just a waste of extra time. There are some benefits there if you're really curious about that and you really have the time. But for most companies, for most organizations, taking a more collaborative approach yields much better results for them. And it really ties in those results that are a lot more focused to that company's particular need.
Gotcha. Wow. That's incredible, man. There's so many different aspects to these different things. And that's why you need specialists. And this is the message that I really try so hard to get across is, it's funny, back in the day when I started 30-something years ago, I was the computer guy. And that means I was the person that they called for anything that had electricity running to it.
Yeah.
Your VCR, it was a light fixture or whatever, you call the computer guy. And honestly, that's sort of the way the business started, right? Professionals like me, we did everything, right? Anything there was to do with computing, the local computer person could do for you. And I think a lot like medicine, it's evolved to so many different specialties. And of course, we're talking about cybersecurity, but there's people that specialize in network administration and system administration and so many different niches that you may not know exist, but are critical because of how critical and how complicated everything that we've talked about are getting. So it's cool to, I think anyway, just expose the rest of the world to the fact that these specialties exist and these people are folks that you should be thinking about beyond just the Joe computer guy who works out of his house,
Absolutely.
Not to knock Joe computer guy. Let's talk a little bit more about some different things about your team. So you're not just a one-man operation. You've got a whole group of folks, and what do some of your different people do, and what are the positions in a cybersecurity company like this?
Oh, they can vary quite a bit. So, like I said before, there is that electronic aspect, right? The testing of the computers, the networks, applications. There's the physical side of things. We do get asked at times to break into a building or test the security of the alarms. I have card cloners and card readers and those types of things to show the impact of somebody walking around with their lanyard just exposed, and you bump into them and you can clone that card and get access to the building. So there's things like that we do. So I have somebody on my team that's really interested and focused on that side of it, but we all kind of cross train on some of the other components as well. One of the people on my team is really into like hacking video games and doing those types of things. So, he brings that expertise to the table.
So I hold on. I gotta
All
dig
the
into this a
guys
little bit
that
more.
Beat me in Call of Duty.
When you talk about hack video games, or what are we talking? Are we talking about like finding Easter eggs? Or are we talking about like
Mods.
shooting through walls and stuff?
Yeah, it's more like finding the holes in the video game that you could take advantage of in order to maybe beat them faster,
Sure.
right? You can do those things where you like glitch through the walls and do
Yeah.
those types of like little speed tricks and things like that to beat the game much faster. So there's people that are really focused on finding any of those little exploits. One of the guys on my team, though, has taken that even a step further with a whole community that he built. This is Alan on my team. And he's even gone so far as to reprogram a game while it's running using a tool that's connected to the controller inputs. And it can just send the button inputs and manipulate all the memory of the system and just like have it do whatever he wants to. So he just completely created new content in a game that was running live. And in some cases, like he would pull in like Twitch chat and display it like on a Nintendo 64, which makes no sense, but it's just like kind of mind blowing that there are, skills like that.
That guy is a nerd's nerd.
Yeah.
And, we will definitely have him on. Mike, I definitely will have him on his own podcast, I'm sure. But so many interesting things that you can do and you can dig into, and it's kind of neat because your job, everything you're describing, sounds like so much fun to so many
sure.
people. If you're into that, obviously, if you're, you like building houses and don't like computers, maybe you don't like this at all. But it's also a very popular career, right? And all these schools are popping up cybersecurity programs, and all these kids are signing up, and they're like, I want to be a hacker for a living. What advice can you give folks, and what can you tell us a little bit about not only the job market, but how someone would legitimately get into this industry?
Yeah, getting into the industry right now is extremely difficult. It's super competitive, especially for the remote work, things like that. So there's a couple things that definitely help. Number one is networking, getting involved in conferences, volunteering for conferences. You meet so many people. Just being part of that community. It's not a huge community,
Sure.
But there are a lot of very well-connected people. So you make those connections.
That seems
and you get
to me that
some
says it
referrals.
might be a little easier to navigate. It's not
For
a huge
sure.
community.
For sure. Yeah, I can, reach out to people, at some of the largest organizations that are just like now really close friends of mine
Sure.
because we were both at the same conference and we just helped them out. That's one of the huge things. The other thing is honestly to get involved in IT in any capacity, right? That's how I started. I started as a network administrator. I got into some system programming and some research and development. And all of those really gave me these foundational skills to go back and say like, okay, now I remember how I screwed that up. So let me see if they screwed this up the same way and I can help them fix that. So, as somebody that's gone through and done all this troubleshooting and helped when things have, hit the fan, you can take that knowledge and it really prepares you much better than just trying to understand the concepts themselves without any of that initial knowledge. So going through, and getting some exposure into any IT related fields is huge.
Mike,
I promise I didn't pay him to say that,
Yeah,
but
you did.
I really am excited to hear you say that, because one of the things that I've found is a lot of folks that want to get into, or even young folks that are taking these cybersecurity programs, and they're coming out with some kind of certificate or even a degree in cybersecurity. And it's very much talking about code and finding things on the web and things of this nature. And when you talk about the basics of IT, which I believe should be foundational, how could you secure a network if you don't know how a network works? So I'm glad to hear that professionals sort of agree with that assessment, because I think that's one area that's been lacking in a lot of these programs, and hopefully maybe they're figuring it out. And on a positive side, I know that from my hiring experiences, I've gotten a considerable number of folks, probably because with cybersecurity degrees, who are applying for IT positions, which is great. I will say that it's probably not their first choice. They went into school with that idea that they were going to come out and immediately go work for you for a huge salary on day one, and that's unfortunately not the reality. But so the fact that they are at least getting these skills, whether it not be their intended first choice, I think is going to be huge for them, and I'm glad to see that happen.
Yeah, Mike. So cybersecurity wasn't always a major, right? I mean, it was kind of something fairly recent. Where did you did you go to school? How did you train? And
That's a great question.
The second part of this question is, how do you stay? I mean, things are changing every day in that world. How do you stay up to date in keeping with what's going on and keeping yourself informed?
Yeah. The answer to the first question, I went to school for computer science. There was no computer security kind of majors. They're prevalent now. There's lots of them out there. Some are very good. Some are just okay. One of the big challenges in the educational space is the lack of practitioners that are willing to go back to education and bring those skills back, right? So like computer science and stuff, that has decades of knowledge, and you have people in academia that can really teach that. But as you said, the cybersecurity stuff evolves so quickly, and you need people that are able to go back and teach with that actual hands-on knowledge to give that practical skills, because you can do a lot of the theoretical stuff, but what students still lack is that hands-on knowledge, which is why, the cyber game stuff that I do is so important, to give them hands-on, like, okay, we're putting you in a position where you're tasked with defending the system, and we have people like myself trying to take it offline. So we're going to do some things, and we're just going to keep ramping up those types of attacks and bringing your stuff offline and having you recover from that.
That's
so you're learning these new things, right? So now when they're going out, they're like, oh yeah, I understand how a hack works, whatever. Okay, but when it's happening, can you actually like deal with that? Right?
Yeah.
So that's one of the big things that is still lacking, but it's constantly improving. I'm not trying to foo-foo on schools. They're doing a lot.
I mean, that's got to be one of those things. It's just a natural issue of it being such a young industry, right? Excuse me. All those computer science professors that you mentioned are typically folks that went through a career in the corporate world and did that and sort of retired and are teaching now to sort of give back at that point. But the cybersecurity practitioners are your age, and you're in the thick of it, not ready to, kind of teach your skills. So I think that's
it's really difficult.
A huge challenge.
You have to have like a lot of time and passion to go back and take extra time out of your day and doing that. So staying on top of that, like you asked about that side of it, it was it's mostly like doing conference things, being involved in the community, just staying in touch with people, staying on top of the research and stuff that's coming out. That's the only way to really stay practical with it, and just like doing those trainings. So many people are willing to just provide that information. I'm president of an organization called Red Team Village. I'm representing them here today. And what we do for that is we provide education and content and workshops and things like that to help spread that knowledge to people that are looking to stay on top.
It's awesome. It's like a SWAT team training in a way.
In a way, yeah.
That's
It's
so
all
cool.
Offensive security focused, and we go to these conferences and support not only the conferences, but we bring on folks that are really well versed and super knowledgeable about different topics to just talk about things like that.
You have to tell the bank story again. I'm sorry. It's way too cool.
That is a story, one of my favorite stories. So to rep another podcast here, Darknet Diaries, my favorite story is from a gentleman known as Freaky Clown FC. He's just an awesome dude, and he is focused on that physical penetration testing. So he'll have companies hire them to basically say like, "Hey, we want you to break into our building, into our office, and maybe get into the server room or do whatever, and
See if you can do it, right?
see if you can do it,
Yeah.
and if our security controls are effective."
Fun with that.
Right?
Yeah, and that episode, which is my favorite episode, is where he's tasked with going into a bank vault and stealing a legitimate gold bar and leaving with that. So, so it's just a super cool episode. And like I said, I got to meet him last year at DEF CON. Super cool guy, and he's got stories for days on those types of things.
That might be a way to combat, crime, is if you create a scenario where you let everyday people get that thrill of breaking into a bank and stealing a gold bar, but they won't get arrested. It's just for testing. And that way it takes the thrill out of it so people stop doing it.
And the gold bar is actually chocolate.
Yeah, and then you eat it.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny you say that though, Mike, because there are programs out there for anybody that wants to get involved to do like hacking against actual organizations.
I'm in.
Without repercussions, as long as you follow the rules, right?
That's
It's called
so good.
Either security programs or bug bounties. So not most, but lots of organizations have them now. And if you're looking to get involved, say like Netflix, right? They have a bug bounty, and they basically say like, hey, here are the things you're able to target. Here are the things that we're looking for, and if you find a vulnerability and you disclose it to us, we will pay you for that information.
That's
right?
amazing.
If you don't disclose it and you don't do that, then we're going to go after you. And,
Then you're a criminal.
Then you're a criminal, right?
That is, I can't even slide this graphic from that computer up to here, so I'm not going to
It's
do
really
it.
funny watching him try.
Yeah, but that is wild. So in other words, it's like an open thing where you can say, we need to make sure we're good to go, and anyone can do it. If you complete it, you get paid. If not, then I mean, wow.
They want to incentivize.
What a time
it,
to be
right?
alive.
Like if you're going to find some of these things, you can either go the route of selling those findings or exploits to criminals, potentially making lots more money, but with the caveat that at any point you can go to jail.
Sure.
Or, they're incentivizing you to let them know so that they can make their platform more secure, and they're willing to pay for it in order to better protect themselves.
So when you see a breach, remember what you were talking about that? There was some sort of hack that affected all the airlines recently, shut everything down.
That wasn't a hack.
Oh,
That was a cybersecurity tool.
well, either way, or maybe the
Took down the entire world.
yeah, the Ashley Madison hack, the one we're talking about. When you see or hear about
Sony.
things like that, Sony,
A lot of big ones.
do you go, oh man, I feel bad because I know what that's like, or are you like, oh, those morons, I could have. How did they let this happen?
I always have empathy for the situation for the companies, because it's not like they're not trying to
be negligent.
be targeted
Yeah.
or to be negligent. Some of these organizations are just so massive, so huge, and it literally sometimes just takes one thing
Yeah.
to topple the whole thing,
Yeah.
to get in there, and or one person doing the wrong thing. So it's just a an unfortunate situation when it's a huge, massive breach. So
Sure.
it's never like, oh, those morons.
Morons,
no.
yeah.
I always feel bad. And in the case when it's like my personal information, it's just like, yeah, that really sucks. Let's hope that they, take the right steps to better
Sure.
protect themselves moving.
In the case, I'll never forget the MGM hack. And that happened to maybe a year ago or so,
It
maybe
was,
long ago.
2020.
Everything runs together for
I
me. So,
I don't know if I
see, a
remember
couple
this
years ago. So, MGM casinos in Las Vegas, they got in through one small entry point,
Oh,
and that gave them literally the keys to the kingdom.
Jesus.
And every system, from the gaming slot machines to payroll to websites to booking to controls in the modern hotel rooms. You couldn't turn on the lights. And they were a little worried that the elevators weren't going to work. They put walkie-talkies in the elevators in case the elevators, shot you to the ceiling or didn't open or something. All because of one entry point. And these guys were able to take over every system in the whole MGM casino.
It was a real life
Empire.
Ocean's 11.
It was. And Mike, you can maybe talk to the resolution of that real quick. But the rumor was that a neighboring casino, I don't remember exactly which one, had been threatened with such a thing. And they paid a big ransom to avoid it. MGM wouldn't pay in advance, and then they went after them. Now, I don't know if that's a fable or not, but if you have any info on that.
Yeah, I don't remember all the specifics on some of those things start to overlap a little
Sure.
bit. So yeah, I don't remember all the specifics for it, but in some cases, like not only just with the MGM hack, but with others, they'll hit multiple targets, and they'll basically say like, hey, you have two options. We're going to shut all your stuff down unless you pay us, or those are your options.
Yeah.
Pay us or we're going to shut you down. And you have to, trust in your process if you're willing to not pay and that you can recover from that. So that's where, other things like tabletop exercises come in, or, just DR planning, those types of proactive measures are super helpful. Or, you know that you have those gaps in place, and maybe that's worth the cost of this situation to move forward and better protect yourself after the fact.
What typically are the chances of, say, you get hit by one of these ransomware attacks, they call them, right?
Oh,
So
yeah.
they gain control of your stuff, they lock you down, they lock you out of it.
Yeah.
You can't do anything, and they go, pay up, or your data gets it. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah. Your
maybe
family's-
it's destroying it. Maybe it's stuff that's a lot of public information or people's private information, and they go, listen, we'll sell this to everybody. We'll make it public. We'll really hurt you unless you pay. How many people pay, and how many people that pay get their stuff back?
Well, how many people pay? I don't know if I have the accurate statistics.
A lot of people don't want to admit they pay, right?
Yeah, some maybe just never want to admit that, or they don't admit it at all. But I will say that for those ones that do pay, if these are kind of well-known like threat actors, they typically will do what they say because they want to incentivize people paying. Like if people were paying and then they didn't do that, then nobody would pay anyway.
They're building
right?
a brand.
They're essentially, they have the customer service in place, as silly as that is, to basically handle that because they do want to make the money for doing so. And if you say like, oh, well, we got hit with X ransomware, and we do the research and we see that, well, nobody's ever gotten resolved from that, so there's no incentive for us to pay, right? So in those cases, you have to do some research on whether or not you should.
So I wasn't even thinking about that, but now you can sort of make an educated guess, right? If it's a group that other people have dealt with.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because these have like well-known like indicators. You know, they have certain processes and things in place where you can identify like what's causing this, and they typically will identify themselves because they want you to pay, and you can tie all that information together to make a determination. But I will say, in some cases, they're very smart too. There's one story that I'm hoping to have somebody come on and tell where they had an incident where the threat actors got into the network, and they sat there for a while, and they realized that the company had backups for 90 days. So they got all of their implants in place, they got all their backdoors in place, and they waited 91 days, and then they locked everything out because they knew that they had it. No
The
matter when they
oldest backup
restore it,
has
gonna be
them in
there.
it.
So those are the types of things you got to take into account and plan for, because they're not just coming in and just wiping everything or locking it out immediately. They're thinking ahead. You know, they're trying to maximize the potential for you to.
And that's something that from the IT side, where we provide backup services, a lot of the tools that we use now, and nothing's 100%, right? But a lot of what these services do for us is they take your backups and continually scan them for threats, even your old ones. So, maybe today, or, nobody knew about this, but in a month they discover this system is going to scan and go, hey, your backup from a month ago had this signature. And again, nothing's foolproof, but those are the types of things that we're trying to do for that exact reason. A lot of people don't. A lot of people think it's sort of like a bank robbery, right? You break in 1 second and you want to grab all the money and run out within 30 seconds. These guys, it's like that movie of the guy who breaks into the Macy's and sleeps until they close the doors, and then makes himself food and things.
Yeah.
That's literally what they do. They once they get in, they sort of lay dormant, and also put in all their back doors, kind of dig their heels in, so that if you cut them off from one way, they might already have.
Yeah, and Mike, I mean, we were talking about ransomware, so right, like we know in that case these people are looking to get paid, right? Sometimes you hear about these hacks that it seems like they just do for fun. Is it like an adrenaline junkie? I mean, we talked about this, but I wanted to bring it up again because it's cool. Is it like they're an adrenaline junkie and they love the thrill of it? Is it just to be an asshole? Like, what's the motivation sometimes?
All of the above.
Yeah.
You'll have people that want to do it just to show that they can do it, right? They want to brag to some of the people that they're connected with. If they want to get involved with maybe some sort of group or whatever, they're going to go and say like, hey, I can do this stuff. Look, I went and did this. Some are doing it for specific. You have like the hacktivist people, right? So they have a particular gripe or a problem with an organization or a movement or whatever, and then they'll deface that or they'll go after them just for that regard, right? To show that they're against those types of things. That's where you have like your anonymous, some other groups kind of like that, and then you'll have people that maybe just don't even know, right? They're just not knowledgeable enough to understand that what they're doing is potentially problematic for them, and that results in them getting into a bit of hot water.
I got this was a while ago. I got an email that was like, we have video of you getting jiggy with yourself on your cell phone, and we're going to send it to all of your family if you don't pay us. And that's when I realized I freaked out. And then I was like, wait, I don't really, that's not true. And because I don't do that. And then I realized, what are they talking about? Because if, let's say that was true, this is what they would have saw. You know what I mean? Anyway, sorry.
It's a pretty common scam.
So you did pay that, right?
And I paid in full.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Mike Lisi, Maltek Solutions is the name of his business. If you want to, Danny, if you want to just show folks the website, it is the coolest cybersecurity website one could imagine. Is this the best place for folks to reach out to you, Mike, if they want to learn more about your services?
Yep. Website is great. We have all our contact details on there. So best place to reach out is through the website there. We have some email. We have a little contact us form. Happy to, talk and just discuss things. Essentially, just do a, fact-finding call with anybody that's interested in finding out like what might be the best solution for them. Honestly, there's not one solution that we offer that it kind of goes for everybody. It's really unique to an organization. So we like to sit down and let you know what makes sense and what doesn't make sense for your specific needs, for your specific security, maturity. If you're working with an internal IT department or with an external IT department, like all those things kind of play into how you can best protect yourself. So always happy to chat with customers.
Awesome. And one last question before you go. What's the best tip you can give anybody, Mike, about cybersecurity?
Best tip.
Or tip of the day, I'll say. It doesn't even have to be the best.
Start utilizing your password managers. I've said it before. I'll keep shouting it over and over again. Password managers, you get them in your phone. You can get them for free. You can pay a few bucks for them. Use those. They're going to be your best protection for selecting secure passwords and utilizing those and, just kind of putting yourself in the best possible scenario.
My wife is the worst. I've talked about it. Hers is like, I'm like, honey, I need to check this. What's the password? Get into Netflix. I think it's password 123. It's like you got to be a little more creative, right? Lots of symbols, lots of numbers.
So I'll throw you a quick side note on that specifically, just because you mentioned it. We use here Bitwarden Password Manager, and for our IT clients, we provide that at a business level. So all the business users, including you at our company, have a Bitwarden license. The really cool thing about Bitwarden is for all those corporate users, they give you 5 what we used to call take-home licenses. So they call them family licenses. So you can actually take it, and you've got 5 licenses you can use at home with your whole family on the personal level.
Oh, that's great.
And that way everybody can use the same tool, and it makes it super easy.
I'll throw them off. I'll do password 3, 4, 5.
Doesn't cost you anything, but
let's talk. Your podcast coming up. Let's talk about your podcast, which we came up with a new name for. It's you tell me because I don't want to butcher.
We're going with Hack Dissection.
Hack Dissection, right here in our studios. We're actually shooting the first episode after this, and
you're going to start to see those coming out pretty quick.
Yeah, they're going to be coming out pretty quick. They're going to be awesome. What do you see? What's your vision for that podcast? What can we look forward to?
Yeah, what we're hoping to do with that is to talk about actual security assessments that we've done. So a little bit of storytelling about the organization without naming names.
Sure. What
their concerns were, what our testing found, how that impacted them, and then the things that they can do to fix that or to protect against that. For other organizations, they may have similar concerns or similar types of things that they're looking to protect. So ideally, you learn a little bit about the fun stuff that we get to do, and then a little bit about how to, address and kind of protect yourself ahead.
This is so cool. It's
Mike Lisi.
It's like a digital version of how it works.
Yes, yes, absolutely. I love that show.
It's just going to suck you in. I'm very excited about it.
Hacking for good.
That's it. Mike Lisi, Maltek Solutions. I think that brings us just about to the end of Good News York.
Good, because I
for
got
the
to
day.
pee really bad. I'm not going to lie.
We will be back live on Monday morning, bright and early, shining, sharing some good news to start off your week.
Yeah.
Have an awesome weekend.
Have a
my
great
friends.
weekend. Have a good news weekend, and we love you,
Mike, thanks for joining us.
Thanks,
Danny,
guys.
thanks for keeping us on the air
my man.
back there, not swearing at us too much.
Nope.
And we'll see you then, guys.
All right.